Welcome back, guys, to the second episode of The Reset Effect. In today's episode, we're going to be talking to you guys about the secrets of staying focused in a distracting world in 2023. Me and Anthony have come up with pretty much, is it five of them? Five things that we, personally use in our health, in our business, in our lives. And we wanted to discuss that with you guys today.
Exactly. I feel like in today's world, there's a lot of distractions. A lot of things are being done. There's too much going on with social media. It's hard for us to actually stay focused and work on a project for a longer period of time. And that's what I feel like deep work is. What do you think about deep work in terms of setting goals and stuff like that? What's something that resonates with you?
Well, pretty much with setting goals, I think you have to have an idea, right? So to what you can achieve and make it relevant, of course, prioritize that and understand why you're doing it when it comes to setting goals.
In terms of the idea, when you write it down, do you do it in the morning? Is it something that you like to do in the evening? When do you find yourself to be most productive?
I think right when you wake up, no? I think I noticed that right when I wake up, I just have that, I don't know, I'm just more awake and I feel that I like to get things done right in the morning rather than if it was at night. I don't think I could, it's not the same for me. What about for you? Is it the same for you?
I find that the morning as well for me is the morning, because when you wake up in the morning,
you stay focused, right?
Especially what I realize in today's world, waking up early gives you the advantage over other people, because it's a lot of us nowadays on the weekends, Fridays or Saturdays, we go to bed late. So we tend to wake up at 9, 10, 11 a.m.
And that's the problem, right? We talk when you, obviously it starts off with your night routine. People just say, how do you wake up earlier? Go to bed earlier, right? And then that's how you wake up earlier in the morning.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, because for you too, like we were telling me that the most important thing is figuring out your bedtime. Because if you can schedule in a bedtime and you give yourself enough hours of sleep, you can wake up early. Anybody can wake up early. A lot of people give me the excuse of saying,
Same to me.
"Oh, how do you wake up so early? How do you stay motivated in the morning?" I find that when you go to bed early, you really have that extra time to wake up, and you feel good about yourself when you wake up early. Because what I realized is I don't get a lot of messages in the morning. If it's like before 7 a.m., if it's like 6:30 or 7 or 7:30, there's nobody messaging me. Is that the same for you?
Same for me. It's exactly right. When I wake up, I like to wake up, honestly, in a couple of months. Well, right now it's winter time. I think it's easier in the summertime for me. I don't know. I don't know if it's just because I haven't seen the sun in so long.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something that with Canadians we have that, but for me personally right now, it's very hard to wake up early. But in the summertime, it was easier. And when that happened for me, like waking up at 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, there are no distractions, guys, which is, for me, it's just beautiful. Like I don't even go on my phone. I just pretty much, do my morning routine and then just get to work right away, pretty much.
I feel like, especially in the summertime, what I realize is there's a lot of sun. Yeah. A lot of sun gives you that energy.
Gives you that energy, no? Right?
Makes you want to wake up and go for a walk.
I guess because we don't see that,
clear your mind, Okay, so number one, we discussed deep work, setting goals, and getting into that type of level of your state of mind, right? So I was thinking for number two, the Pomodoro method. This is something that's been really sticking with me, and
and you pretty much showed me this,
And you too, right? You've been really sticking with it.
I've been using it much more often this year.
For you, does it really help you increase your productivity in a way?
So with this method, I started to, notice that taking breaks, it's needed. It's definitely a must for sure, and you should definitely try it out. How do you go about it usually?
So let me just explain to you guys kind of what the Pomodoro method is. Basically, what you want to do is, obviously, if you're working for a longer period of time, you don't want to continue working. It's going to burn you out. So I find for me, and it's something that I read in a lot of books, and I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube talking about this. What it is it's basically, let's say you have a scheduled day where you want to work, right? You're obviously going to work for 1 hour, right? For example, you want to take breaks in between. You want to take incremental breaks. So for example, if I'm working an hour, I'll take a 10-minute break. So I'll work for 50 minutes, take a 10-minute break, and then after that, I'll continue back into my workflow. Because I find that if you have the little reset in between your work, you're going to have like a fresh mind, and you can bring in some extra thoughts and ideas that you want to maybe write down after that 10-minute break.
You can also you don't have to do it like that. You can also just experiment with it and see what works for you, of course, as well.
So, you don't want to, it depends, right? Some people might want to do 45, 50.
Yeah.
In the beginning,
see what works for you, right?
There's actually an app. I don't know the name of it, but if you search up Pomodoro app on App Store, you'll find it. Mm-hmm. But what you can start with is you can start with 20 minutes, and take a 10-minute break, right? You start low and then you work your way up.
Especially if you're working for long periods of time, right? You notice that your mind just stops to just focus, right? So that's why I noticed for me too, like I started to, take those little short breaks in between and just get back to it, which was very, very beneficial.
Also, with the Pomodoro method, I feel like it's better to break down your daunting tasks. So, for example, let's say, like for you, for example, let's say you're editing a video and you can see that it's like a 30-40 minute video and you're like, damn, this is super long. How am I
I think
gonna
it's
do
even
it?
longer than that, to be
Yeah,
honest.
let's say it's even longer. Let's say.
When I edit for like, let's say maybe 4 or 5 hours. A video could actually take that long, to be honest with you, which is funny.
So imagine like working 4 or 5 hours straight without actually having breaks.
Before I used to do that, and then I just noticed that at the end of it, I wouldn't even want to look at it. I wouldn't even want to touch it. Yeah, I was overwhelmed by it. So definitely have those breaks in between because it will help a lot.
Okay, so guys, so far we talked about number 1, which is state of mind, your goals, making sure that you're in the right headspace. And number 2 now is Pomodoro method, which is important to have your tasks break into chunks. For number 3, I find that dedication into finding a workspace,
Your environment,
and eliminating distractions. What do you find is the best thing about having your environment set up?
That I think you just know that it's just yours and you can just get to work right away there, right there, no problem. Eliminating everything from it. You know what? I like to keep a very minimal space for me. Pretty much just my, my keyboard, my mouse, and then obviously my monitor, and then I just work. I don't like to have anything that's cluttered, messy. Like it just doesn't work for me personally.
So keeping organized and clean, not having too much papers hanging around.
Exactly, everything. You want to have a clean canvas that you can just use and then just put to work, right?
And it's almost like aesthetically pleasing. It makes you want to.
People have that as well.
Makes you want to work, right?
You have that right there. That it's right there. So just pretty much get to work.
For me, I find that what I like to do is I like to light up a candle, maybe get an incense burner going. Before I actually work, before I actually get into the flow of working, I like to play some music, like some focus music or some.
Oh yeah, we talked about this. You were telling me about what's it called on YouTube? We were talking about what's that channel that you were telling me about?
Oh, Study MD.
Study MD. That's actually a great tool. If you guys want to go check it out on YouTube,
we'll actually link it right here in this section. Right
you guys can check it out because I started personally using it a lot, and he basically has the Pomodoro method integrated into the actual video, right? That's how it works.
Exactly.
So you guys can use that as a tool to get inspired from, or listen to it while you're working, and I think it will help you a lot.
Even with that, like if you look at his setup, the way he has a lot of greenery, candles, incense burners, diffusers,
like all those little things that people might think they're not work, they actually work. They actually help a lot.
They set up your space, they get you in that calm mental space, and it's like you want to make sure you have those aromas, like those smells coming into your nose, and having that low tone music in the background. You don't want to have like you don't want to put Pop Smoke or these high end rappers just screaming into the mic because it's not going to get you to focus.
And of course, don't put your phone there either, right? You don't want to. You want to keep. I would honestly, I keep my phone as far away from me as I can. Like I put it in my bedroom probably when I go to my office area and then just get to work. Is that something that you do as well? What do you do with your phone? You just turn it off?
To eliminate distractions, I definitely put my phone in airplane mode. And I try to keep it away. I put it in a drawer underneath. So I have like the Alex drawers from IKEA, and I just slide it to the bottom of the drawer. And after that, it's like I won't go to it. I won't go to it at all, because as soon as you go into it, you just literally decrease your productivity like 70%. Yeah. It just completes your mindset to a different location, and you're not able to complete your project with 100% effort, right? So it's good to kind of move away from those distractions and get rid of it.
Yeah. So I can talk about, you said you were talking about you had coffee in you. When you work, I like to have wine.
Yeah, you like to have.
Well,
wine.
Not in the. I guess depends when you're working as well too, right? But for me, when I like to edit or do other things in my workspace, I have like a cup of wine.
Yeah,
it don't drink in the morning, guys. Definitely don't. It's like when it's lunchtime, kind of evening. If I go on my computer, then I'll start having a cup of wine. For me personally, having just wine right there, and around maybe 2, 3 in the afternoon, 4 in the afternoon. It just helps me a little bit more to be a little more clear. It's just something that I picked up on. I don't know. Obviously, don't overdo it, but just have one cup. Just personally that I like.
A cup of wine a day is really good for you. Actually, that's what I heard.
Yeah. Well, it's just there that I like to just drink it.
But it's what's good about it too is that like when you incorporate the Pomodoro method into this, in those 10-minute breaks you have, you can literally just go ahead and make your coffee or make your tea, or make your whatever you like to
Obviously,
drink.
yeah, like
you know?
have even take a break. Don't stop looking at the computer, because you know what, you want to have that in between, just so you can, you know what, your mind can just get off it for a little bit and then come back to it and then just get to work again, right?
Yeah, like for me at home, I live with my grandparents, and sometimes they make a lot of noise, right? So I like to sometimes find a different area to study or to work on a project. I have a library nearby. If some of you guys have that same issue as I
Oh
do.
yeah, we didn't talk about that. How, you know, yeah, it doesn't have to be your house as well too, right? So
It can be a different space, completely total different space.
if you have to go to a library, go to it, and go in the corner somewhere and start working there. Just because sometimes I know a lot of people, you know what, they live with their parents, and you guys might not have that. You guys have those noises in the background and stuff like that, so it's very hard for you to get to work. So yeah, go to the library. What else do you suggest that we can do?
So even then, when I go to the library, it's like I have a complete quiet zone. There's Wi-Fi there. I can read. I can focus on stuff that matters, right? And I can get a lot more done, because it's like at home when I'm in my room or when I'm working in my little office area, I have a TV there too, right? If it's a day where I feel a little bit distracted, I can just open the TV and run away to the TV, right? So it's good that you completely surround yourself with stuff that won't get you distracted, right? Even maybe taking the batteries out of the remote if you want to do that to start with, right?
Yeah, so eliminating distractions as much as you can. Definitely your phone, you know, put on the music, light up a candle, a diffuser, set the tone. So
Even with distractions, like if you have a busy schedule, even if your work life, sometimes family want to message you, right? You can, like, let's say you have a relationship with your partner, you just let them know, right? You'd be like, hey, I'm going to be working for this amount of time.
Yeah,
and
that's true too.
I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode because I don't want to get distracted. You let them know ahead of time. Don't just go ghost mode, because people are going to start being concerned, right?
No, makes sense. Yeah, you're right.
It's better to let them know ahead of time, right?
Definitely. That's something I didn't take in, I guess. But yeah, as you have a partner, you know, you want to let them know that, hey, I'm going to be working for a couple of hours.
So what are some of the challenges that you've overcome actually with distractions? Like, what's the main thing?
My main distraction?
Your main distraction that kind of bothers you?
My phone. I think for a lot of people can resonate with this, that it's their phone. And you know what? Everybody has an addiction to anything. And for me, it's my phone. It's necessarily that, you know what, you can try to manage. And for me, that has been over the years, over the months, actually, I've been noticing that, you know what, I try not to go on my phone as much as I can. And of course, with turning off disabling your notification, that has helped me a lot, pretty much. That's like the biggest one that I've noticed throughout the year. What about you? What's your bigger distraction?
For me, it's just my family around me, right? Like, sometimes my brother can be walking up the stairs and he can be yelling or screaming.
Or, hey, what's up? How are you?
Be like, hey, what's up? And then I'm like, damn, I just lost my train of thought, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's annoying because, like, it takes a while to build up that focus again, right? Like, for example, you can be in a good flow and you'll be there for like 20 minutes. All of a sudden, you hear like a bang of a door. That's it.
Especially with your phone. You know what I read last time? I read that every time your phone, you get that ding, it takes you 15 minutes to get back to where you were in terms of focus.
That's insane.
That's insane. Think about it. So imagine you get how much time you're pretty much wasting just to get back to focus.
15 minutes. With that being said, actually, I want to talk about creating a reward system. This is something that I've done myself personally. I just added this method to my Pomodoro method idea that I found online, right? It wasn't my idea, the Pomodoro method, but like this reward system is something that I just
once you finish the Pomodoro method, you get a reward.
No, so this is actually during the Pomodoro method. I don't think I actually
once you take the break.
So no, not even during the break. This is actually during it.
So you just have that.
So I have what I have on my desk is 2 little jars, and one jar is a focus jar and one jar is a distracted jar, right? So what I do is I get these little, it depends what you want to do. You can do like little jingle bells, marbles, whatever it is. And I have something, a little pad that I keep track of. And what I like to do is, let's say I'm within that time period of being focused, right? For 45 minutes.
Yeah.
What I do is, within those 45 minutes, if I get distracted, I'll take a little marble out of one jar and put it into the distracted jar. So at the end of each Pomodoro time period that I'm working on, each break, or at the end of the day, for example, let's say I do 4 work sessions, I'll see how many times I've been distracted. I'll see 5 marbles in there or 6 marbles, and I'll be like, you know what? I got to try to minimize that for the next day. And I'll write down the amount of marbles in a piece of paper.
Something visual that you can
something visual, because I'm more of a visual learner.
No, yeah, makes sense.
And I like to do that. What do you think about that?
I like that. I've never thought about it like that way. So basically it's like this, right? You have 2 jars.
Yeah.
You just go from one to the other. Is that what you mean? Is that pretty
Yeah,
much
and you
how
can
it
kind of
goes?
get this whatever store, like dollar store, corner
Yeah,
store.
yeah, no, I see.
So I
That's
bought
pretty
two,
cool.
two little jars, and I got a label on it, and I put one for distracted and one for focus.
Focused. Oh, I see.
So I
Okay.
keep all my marbles in the focus jar, right? So let's say I have 10 marbles or 15, whatever one number you want to go with. I like to stick to 15.
So just something that you can look at that you say that, you know what, bro, I'm lacking kind of thing. I need to get that thing right back on
Yeah,
where it
like,
is on
and
level,
you just
pretty much.
throw it in, and then at the end of the
Okay.
week, you can kind of see all of the times you've been distracted, like Monday, Tuesday,
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Okay. I see. So just a
you
way
know?
to see that you're pretty much, you know what, you're better. You're much better at being focused than being distracted, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I see. Okay.
And that's how you can track.
That's pretty cool.
And
That's
there's one thing too is anything that you track, you can improve on, right? So that's why I like to track that, right?
And with the last part that we wanted to touch upon was self-care, right? Prioritize your body. And a lot of people don't know this, but you know what? Your sleep has a big part to play on as well when you want to stay focused, because if you're not sleeping properly, you're not going to have the energy to stay focused and have a healthy body, Isn't that something that you agree with?
Exactly. What I realized for me is working a job that requires physical labor or a job working on a desk, it's completely two different things, right? So if you're working on e-commerce or you're working on something on the computer, you need more focus.
Mentally draining.
It's
Mentally draining. It's mentally draining. You guys have no idea.
Yeah.
It's probably, I don't know if I want to talk about this, but you know what? For me, noticing that working on a computer like throughout the whole day is so mentally draining. A lot of people don't know this. And maybe people think like, oh no, this guy just doesn't do anything. It's just right there, just clicking buttons. But it is mentally draining. And coming up with ideas and stuff like that, it's a lot. It's a lot, guys. Let me tell you that much. So you make sure that, proper sleep, one of the biggest ones, eating well. And personally for me, working out. Those are my things that work. What about for you? What's something that works for you?
For me personally, I think honestly it's sleep. It's sleep because let's say, for example, physical labor, right? So obviously I'm in the construction industry as well as trying to do e-commerce and this type of stuff. And I realized the difference is massive. The difference is massive in terms of your mentality and your mindset when you wake up. If you're feeling very groggy and you feel like you can't think, if you can't think, you can't work on the computer. I'll tell you right now. But if you have like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, you can go work a physical job, no problem. Like your mind is kind of asleep, but you're just doing the labor work. So it's a completely different game, right?
Way different game. Yeah, makes sense.
Way different game. One of the ways too is you can't be stressed out when you're trying to go into that mental space of that deep workflow. You have to kind of reduce your stress.
Reduce your stress, yeah.
What are some of the ways that you kind of your mindfulness? How do you reduce your stress?
For me, a bunch of ways. I think, well, the main one is reading. I think for me, especially a lot nowadays. You know what? Either journaling as well too is a good one. Writing, I do a lot of writing nowadays that before I didn't do, and it's definitely underrated because you know what? I started to notice that once I write it down, just my mind just it goes away. It's funny to say, no? What do you
kind of So a lot of people like to go to therapy sessions and do therapy and talking to people, but some people are not comfortable doing that, right?
Yeah,
for me personally, I don't think I'm comfortable talking to somebody else and explaining them to all my problems, right? So it's good sometimes to get a clear response and somebody thinking through your problems with you. But I find when you write it down, it's a therapy session. It is.
But even then, sometimes they don't say anything. They listen. Maybe that's what works for some people. Just having someone to listen, I guess.
Exactly. And when you're writing, you're kind of listening to yourself, your own thoughts.
I think you understand yourself
way
much better when you write it. For me personally, guys, don't. It's just something that's been working for me. Like once I write it down, I know that it's there, and it just goes away. It just goes away.
Jordan Peterson, he said this best. He said that take the time to focus on one specific problem you have in your life, and with that, you wanna dive deeper into it. What is it? What are you doing wrong? What is it that you're lacking that you could fix, right? Focus on what you can control instead of what you can't control, right? So with that being said, it's really, really good, important to spend the time having a piece of paper and just writing down a specific problem. It could be, for me, for example, I'll use an example. Let's say I wanted to get more sales the next day. I can be writing a problem, how I can do that, how I can split test, or how I can take better photos, or how I can write better copy. It all depends on what you want to do. It can be anything. It can be anything in life. It doesn't have to be just one problem, right? You just got to be able to dissect your thoughts, because you how many thoughts do we have a day? Like
I think
30,
there's over it's over 50,000 thoughts a day,
Yeah,
which is
way too much.
insane.
It's
It's
way too
insane. So writing down your thoughts, your ideas,
It catches
It's a
it.
must.
It's like
It's definitely
it's almost
a
like
must that you
having a
should do.
net to catch butterflies.
Yeah,
right?
no, it makes sense. That's why for a lot of people, maybe they don't see it like that. But you know what? Definitely, guys, start writing down, start journaling, start reading. You know, all these little things that people, may think they're dumb, but they're actually not. So
Yeah. So I find that with journaling, it's good to write it down on paper rather than digitally. But you can also do it digitally. Like there's apps like Evernote, Notion, even your notes on your iPhone. It all depends on what you want to do. But there's a lot
yeah,
of
there's a
apps
lot of apps that do
that
that.
you can just take it down when you're in your car. You'll be like, oh, I have this awesome idea. You just write it down. Write it down on your phone. It doesn't have to be.
And you can always go back at it and look at it, right?
You can always go
Especially too.
back.
With paper, it's a little bit. I guess you're much
deeper.
limited.
It's deeper.
It is deeper, but you're limited, I guess, because
Yeah.
with that paper you might lose it. So I do kind of both. I try to stay in between. Notion, Evernote. You said, which one? Your iPhone notes.
I use paper more for reflecting, and I use ideas. I kind of write it on my phone, and if I want to reflect on that idea, I'll write it on paper because you dive deeper into that thought process.
Especially like throughout this year when I noticed, with anything, with any kind of ideas, for a video, any ideas for, for, I don't know, for content, whatever it may be, I noticed I was writing that on my phone and I just go back to it. I'm like, holy shit, that's a crazy idea. And then expand on that, which is something that I didn't used to do before. And a lot of people just maybe, if you have like yourself, you always kind of thinking and maybe it may be overwhelming, having that idea on your phone and then looking back at it is just, it's
Reduces stress. Reduces stress overall. So far we talked about setting clear goals, number one, which is deep work state of mind. Number two, which is the Pomodoro method. Number three.
How do you say Pomodoro?
Pomodoro.
Pomodoro
like
method?
P-O-M-O.
Oh, Pomodoro. I've been saying it wrong this whole time.
It's
Pomodoro
okay.
method.
Pomodoro method.
Pomodoro method.
Number
Pomodoro
three,
method.
dedicated location, eliminating distractions. Number four is kind of creating a reward system for yourself. Getting that, like what I do with the jars. It all depends what you want to do.
Yeah,
with
you
the
can
marbles.
actually, what could it done for the reward system? Could it be like, can I go on my phone for like a couple of minutes?
Yeah, you can. So for the reward system, it's not even just about improving and tracking. You can set a goal, like be like, hey, if I can do 5 at the end of the day, at the night, I can watch this, or I can go out with this person and hang out for a bit because I know that I did a good day, right?
Yeah.
So it gives you that kind of like that kick and that urgency to want to work so you can get to that. Don't cheat it. Don't be like, okay, I'm only going to do 2, right?
I think
Try
you
to
have
complete it all, right?
And be very fair with what you're doing as well too. You cannot just say I'm gonna be working for 10 minutes and then go on my phone for another 10 minutes. It doesn't work like that. I think you have to be fair and use it very wisely.
Exactly. So 1, deep work state of mind. 2, Pomodoro method. 3, dedicated location, eliminating distractions. Obviously 4 would be creating a reward system.
5,
and then prioritizing your self-care.
Definitely, guys.
Let's do a bonus one. Which one do you say the bonus one is?
The bonus one we got, plan your day. I think definitely plan your day, because I know not everybody has the luxury to work whenever they want, right? Sometimes people have 9 to 5 jobs. People work at night. People work overnight. So I think you have to understand which time of the day works better for you. And like I said, we went back to this. We talked about, for us, it works better in the morning. If you can't, of course, then do it at night, and just limit yourself. Don't go overboard and then try to be working for like 5 hours a night because you work over the next day. You work in the morning, and then you're not going to be able to do it, right? So be very wise and understand which time of the day is best for you to focus and do that task.
Really, I really agree with you there, because I feel like if you can chunk your day, maybe sometimes you're good at working at 11 a.m. Instead of 8 a.m. So if you can chunk your day and figure out,
especially let's go that on the weekends, I think. Prioritizing your weekends, because a lot of people, they work throughout the week, but they just kind of waste their weekends. I think
weekends are very important, very crucial, because you have so much time in your hands, right? How can you prioritize that? How can you basically say, hey, I'm going to wake up at this time and I'm going to go to bed at this time, and I'm going to stick with that, right? And what am I going to do within that time
Especially
period?
Very challenging throughout the weekend, just because a lot of people just have that mindset. Again, we go back to that and saying that it's the weekend, I guess a lot of people just work through the week, and then
thank God it's Friday.
Yeah, thank God it's Friday. Let's go. Let's. I guess the millionaires. I guess they're making so much money that they're throwing away the weekends. Personally, I don't think it's the way to think like that. Do you agree with that?
I agree with you 100%, because if you just waste your weekends,
you know what I mean? Like you know what I mean, right? When I kind of say that, I'm exaggerating maybe a little bit, but I think it's just not the way to think, especially when you're young like that. You kind of don't want to throw away your weekends like that, I think.
You don't, because at the end of the day, what's happening is you have only 24 hours in a day, right? And if you have Saturday and Sunday, that's 48 hours. You sleep majority of the time, which is 16 hours. So you got to look at it like, if you want to go somewhere far, you have to dedicate some time on your weekends as well. Like everybody works. Like the millionaires and billionaires, they work majority of the time, 7 days a week. But what they do is they time chunk, right?
Yeah, they
They'll spend their
understand.
evenings with their family from 6 to like 11.
They know
right?
when it's time to work, and you as
Yeah.
well should be able to analyze as well too, right? Take from that and understand what time of the day is for you to work, and what time of the day is for you to just go out and enjoy your time, right?
Have a time to work and have a time to play, right? Don't
Mm-hmm.
mix them. Don't mix them. Like don't be working on a project and then all of a sudden, hey, let me just go on my phone real quick and do this, right? Don't do that. Just stick to one thing, get it done. And my mom was a big believer in, when you get home, do your homework. After your homework's done, go play, right?
I think it was like
Yeah,
that for everybody.
yeah.
as well
Just
too.
make sure you and
It was always like
with that
that
your
too.
whole life, right? It
Yeah,
shouldn't be
I had that in me
it
too
shouldn't
as
just
well.
be like, a lot of people consume, like a lot of people have the idea of like, yo, when I finish school, I'm free. No, it shouldn't be like that. You should always be continuously learning. Like learning is something that you're always doing every single day. You shouldn't be like, oh, after high school or after grade 12, or I don't know if the US education is the same type of thing.
It's very, I think, different.
After
right?
you basically get to the full-time job, you assume that learning stops. Learning
Oh
continues
no, it's
going.
not like that. Like I think what was the quote that I was talking about? I read this yesterday or a couple of days ago, where self-education will make you a fortune, but
No. I want something like this. Self-education.
no, formal education
Formal education
will make you
a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. Jim Rohn said that, no?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Jim Ron, my boy Jim Ron. And it's, guys, don't think like because you finish school that you're done learning. I think I definitely it's funny to say now, but at this age, I guess I'm different. I'm otherwise I can say that, you know what, I personally don't stop reading and working and doing homework even nowadays when I'm 22 years old. It sounds stupid, I guess.
You know what? It's kind of
Different.
kind of
I
crazy
can't,
to say, but
it's a stupid thing to say because I'm only 22, but I guess I'm gonna keep doing this until I'm like 40, 30, to be honest with you. So I personally don't think it's gonna change.
I'm learning more now than I did in school, to be honest, because in school I didn't really have that mindset. I didn't really see this.
But
type
learn
of
about
world,
things
right?
that, you know what, the school doesn't teach us. That's the biggest
exactly.
thing that you can take away from this.
so many things.
Because
they don't
life
teach
is
us.
not just about math and science. There's more to it as well too. Things that, like I said, school doesn't teach you, like money.
Yeah, like for example, Pythagorean theorem. You learned that in math class, right? When are you ever going to use that? When are you ever going to talk about the circumference circumference of a circle, but like finding the Pythagorean theorem of a triangle? I've never heard that word in my life. Anybody talk about that? Only in school, right?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Trust me. For a lot of people, that it's just the school system, right? The way it is. And you definitely have to start learning more about, finance, start learning about money, start learning about self-development, start learning about self-awareness. All these things that nobody teaches us, right? So yeah, definitely don't stop. Don't think that just because you're out of school that learning stops pretty much. Yeah.
I had one question for you before we end this podcast, because
bro.
we're cutting it short here, guys, and we've covered everything we wanted to talk about. I feel like for my last question, I wanted to ask you
Yeah, bro.
is, what would you do
Mm-hmm.
if you had a situation where you're living with a bunch of family, there's so much going on, there's a lot of kids around you, and you're in an area where you really want to work, but let's say, for example, you had a sibling in the same bedroom as you, and you couldn't be in your room, or you couldn't be anywhere. Where would you go? Would you go to a library? Or would you do something like that?
There's many.
Would you go to a park? Where would you want to work?
I mean, there's a bunch of spaces that you could possibly go to. You can go to your family's, your neighbor's house. You can maybe go to your family member's house too as well. Maybe ask them, hey, you know what? Can I just go to your, I don't know, to your house for a bit to do some work? I think people have family members, people have neighbors. There's parks, there's libraries.
Maybe even talking to your family, trying to find a space in your house.
Yeah,
right?
I think, and your parents can help you out with this as well too. You know what? Maybe tell them and make them understand that, you know what, I want to get things done just for a couple of hours, maybe an hour, 2 hours. Could you guys just keep it down for a bit? You know what? I think they can understand that, and they can help you with that as well too. No,
definitely. So that's
what about you? What would you do? What would you? I think the same.
Me, I would have to leave. Like me personally, I can't be a part of that environment because it's too much noise for me. Even though you do tell your family, sometimes they try to stay quiet, but they don't. Like I come from obviously a European culture, and when they get on the phone, it's not a like normal conversation. I feel like they can't really hear the other people talking, and they scream really loud, and it's like the normal voice for them. So even then, I try to avoid that, and I try
Yeah,
to either
no,
go
I
to a
understand what
library.
you're saying.
Libraries are an amazing spot for me because I love reading. I personally love reading, and seeing that environment of all those books around me, it makes me encouraged to continue doing what I'm doing.
And we're addressing this to the people that, or the younger generation that lives with their parents, to be correct, because people who live on their own, they don't have this problem.
Yeah.
They can just maybe put
But
the
they might
headphone.
have another problem of having TVs around them or
Yeah,
having
yeah, and that's the thing when it comes down to you to
distractions.
understand that what, you have to turn those off and get to work, right? So
Exactly.
that's it.
Try
That's
to be
just
a producer.
yeah,
Try to be a producer.
So yeah, that is it, guys.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And is there anything else you want to touch upon?
That's pretty much it. We want to keep this short, not an hour like the last episode. Unfortunately, we're sorry for that. It went that long, but this episode we're gonna keep it short. We hope you guys took a lot of notes from this, a lot of ideas, and you can apply it into your own lives like we have to ours. And I feel like with that being said, we should continue doing these. We're gonna continue doing these smaller episodes where we dive deep into a specific skill set and we go into it and we talk about it, right?
Yeah, definitely. I like that a lot, bro. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to our channels.
Leave a like on the video if you really enjoyed it.
Yes, please. And if you have any other topics, leave them as always down below in the comments, and we will try to make an episode about it, right?
Yep, exactly. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Bye, guys.